The Buffalo Bills are gearing up for a crucial Week 8 showdown against the Carolina Panthers, and this game carries more weight than just another notch in the win column. After a much-needed bye week, Buffalo returns to action sitting at 4 Vitórias e 2 Derrotas, and this is a perfect chance to assert themselves against a Panthers team that, while improving, is still trying to find consistency. On the surface, this might look like a game the Bills should win comfortably. But make no mistake, this Panthers squad is dangerous, and if the Bills don't bring intensity from the opening snap, they could be in for a rude awakening. Let's talk about the opponent. The Carolina Panthers come into this one at 4 Vitórias e 3 Derrotas, a record that doesn't fully tell the story of their season. They started with 2 straight losses and looked like a team in search of answers. Since then, they've caught fire, winning 4 of their last 5 games, including victories over some tough competition like the Cowboys and Dolphins. Head coach Dave Canales deserves a ton of credit. He took over a team in transition, loaded with youth and uncertainty at quarterback, and has molded them into a physical, disciplined, and opportunistic group. Now in his second season, Canales has already accumulated no vitórias in just 4 jogos as head coach. Pretty remarkable given the context. One of the biggest storylines heading into this game is the quarterback situation for Carolina. All signs are pointing toward veteran Andy Dalton getting the start in place of Bryce Young, who is nursing a high ankle sprain. While Bryce Young has shown flashes of why he was a number 1 overall pick, his performance has been inconsistent. Dalton, on the other hand, is a steady presence. He's 37 years old, has started in 168 games across his career, and brings a level of veteran savvy that you just can't teach. No, he's not going to wow anyone with athleticism or a cannon arm, but he knows how to run an offense, read a defense, and make the smart play. That kind of quarterback can be dangerous, especially against a Bills defense that has struggled in coverage and hasn't always been sound in their assignments. Andy Dalton may not have many passing attempts this season, a painless trees to be exact, but he's completed 9 of those for 118 yards and a touchdown. He hasn't had to show much, but that doesn't mean he's rusty. He's been around, he's seen it all, and if Buffalo doesn't pressure him effectively, he'll keep Carolina's offense on schedule all afternoon. In fact, this might be the kind of game where Carolina prefers Dalton over Young, simply because of how Dalton can execute within structure and minimize mistakes. Against a Buffalo defense that has shown cracks, particularly in stopping the run and staying tight in coverage, Dalton's experience could tip the balance in Carolina's favor. That's why the key for the Bills starts with defense. Buffalo's front 7 must commit to stopping the run, because Carolina will absolutely try to establish it early and often. This is not just to try and keep them honest type of rushing attack. It's the foundation of everything they do. The Panthers have quietly built one of the most productive rushing offenses in the league, ranking quarto in EPA per rush. They aren't just running to chew clock. They're creating explosive plays, moving the chains, and controlling the pace of the game. Meanwhile, the Bills' run defense has been, quite frankly, a liability. Every major metric tells the same story. Buffalo struggles to contain the ground game. That's a problem, especially when facing a team that wants to win the physical battle in the trenches. Carolina's backfield features Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, and while they might not be household names, they've been delivering. Dowdle, in particular, has been red hot. After years of bouncing around, he's finally found his rhythm and has emerged as a legitimate weapon. He's averaging 2 more yards per carry than Hubbard and is coming off several strong performances. His story is actually a compelling one. Undrafted in 2020, spent years waiting for a shot, and now at 28 years old, he's on pace for back-to-back 1,300-yard seasons. That's wild. And then there's Hubbard, the veteran of the group, who's quietly put together productive seasons and brings toughness and experience to the mix. Neither guy is a game-breaker in terms of speed, but they're physical, decisive, and can grind down a defense over 4 quarters. But the Panthers aren't just about the run. They've invested heavily in their wide receiver room with 2 first-round picks, Ted McMillan and Xavier Legette. McMillan, a top 10 pick, has all the tools to be a true number 1 receiver: size, ball skills, route running, and a physical presence that's hard to match. He's drawn comparisons to Drake London for good reason. Leggett, meanwhile, is raw but explosive and can break tackles and turn short throws into big gains. Add in Hunter Renfrow working the slot and Jalen Coker, an undrafted player who built strong chemistry with Bryce Young last year. And suddenly this is a receiving core with both upside and depth. If Dalton finds a rhythm, he's got plenty of options to work with. Tight end is another position to watch. Tommy Tremble is the lead guy, a tough, physical blocker who can also contribute in the passing game. Behind him, they've got Jatavian Sanders, an athletic second-year player, and rookie Mitchell Evans, who's shown potential as both a blocker and pass catcher. This group may not have a Travis Kelce, but they're versatile and tough, and they'll be involved in the game plan. Now let's talk about the engine of this offense, the offensive line. Quietly, this might be the most impressive unit on the team. They've dealt with injuries, shuffle combinations almost every week, and it hasn't slowed them down one bit. Left tackle Ike Mekwonu is a former top 10 pick who's finally finding his form. Damian Lewis brings a nasty physical edge at left guard. Center Cade Mays, who wasn't even expected to start, has stepped in and embraced the physicality of the position. At right guard, Brady Christensen has shown his value as a do-it-all lineman, and right tackle Taylor Moton is one of the most underrated players in the entire league. He's been steady and reliable for years. It doesn't matter who they plug in. This group brings toughness and cohesion. They can handle different fronts, communicate well, and pave the way for a punishing run game. So how can Buffalo handle all of this? First, stop the run. Full stop. Put more bodies in the box. Play heavy. Do whatever it takes. If you let Carolina dictate with the ground game, you're playing right into their hands. Second, pressure Andy Dalton. Blitz him, get creative with your fronts, and don't let him get comfortable. Dalton is not going to escape pressure like a younger, more mobile quarterback. He'll try to stay in structure and get the ball out, but if you can disrupt his timing, you'll force mistakes. Buffalo's pass rush should be more dynamic this week with reinforcements like Michael Hocht and Larry Ogunjobi joining the rotation. These guys bring athleticism and fresh legs to the mix, and they need to be part of an aggressive plan to collapse the pocket. And finally, the mindset has to change. This defense needs to show fire, show urgency, show physicality, show that edge that makes defensive players special. The kind of energy where everyone flies to the ball, every tackle has some pop, and guys are playing with something to prove. This Bills defense has been questioned all season, and fairly so. They've been exposed in coverage, outmuscled up front, and have struggled to find their identity. That needs to stop now. This is the moment to reset, to come off the bye with a different energy, to look like a unit that knows what's at stake. There's no more time for excuses. The reinforcements are here, the talent is in place, and now it's about mindset. It's about attitude. It's about playing like a group that's ready to carry this team through the grind of the second half of the season. Now let's shift the focus to the Buffalo Bills offense and how they can take control against a Panthers defense that, while improved from last season's disaster, still presents several glaring vulnerabilities. Carolina's defensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero, deserves credit for keeping things together after a historically bad season last year, when this group gave up over 3,000 rushing yards and allowed more points than any other defense in the league. Many expected changes at the coordinator position, but the Panthers stuck with Evero, and it's paid off to an extent. This year, they're allowing just over 21 points per game, which puts them in the top half of the league, and their run defense has jumped from worst to 7th in EPA per rush. That's a big leap. But even with those improvements, there are clear ways to attack this unit, especially if the Bills come in with the right mindset and execution. To start, Carolina doesn't bring much heat in the pass rush. They have the lowest pressure rate in the NFL, and that's not just about raw sack numbers. Even when factoring in time to throw and expected pressures, they still rank dead last in pressure rate over expectation. They just aren't getting to the quarterback. The only team in the league without a sack that could be pinned on the opposing quarterback's mistake? The Panthers. That tells you this isn't a defense that forces errors with pressure. They rely on coverage, and if they can't collapse the pocket, It's a green light for Josh Allen to get comfortable and pick them apart. And this might be the perfect opponent for Buffalo to get back in rhythm offensively. We've seen the Bills' passing attack hit some inconsistent stretches this year, especially when defenses force them to beat tight man coverage on the perimeter. Carolina doesn't do that. In fact, they play man coverage at one of the lowest rates in the league, just 15% of the time. They prefer to sit back in zone, stay disciplined, and let the offense make mistakes. But that approach could play right into Buffalo's hands. The Bills are most effective when they can target the middle of the field, attack soft zones with tight ends and slot receivers, and let Josh Allen operate with vision and timing. If the Panthers stick to their usual script, this is a matchup that favors Buffalo's passing game in a big way. And that brings us to one of the most important pieces of the puzzle this week, Dalton Kincaid. This is all the makings of a breakout game for the second-year tight end. Carolina has been absolutely torched by tight ends all year long. No team in the league has allowed a higher expected points added per pass when targeting tight ends. They've given up Vint Edoy's receptions on Vint E.C.'s targets to tight ends, resulting in DeZento's E-50 yards and Quattro touchdowns. That a passer rating allowed of 1 cento E40 E6 Pano Trace. That's not just bad, it's catastrophic. And if Joe Brady is dialing up anything other than a heavy dose of Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and even some 12 personnel looks, then the Bills are missing a golden opportunity. This game isn't just about the tight ends, though. Buffalo's slot receivers should also be in for a productive afternoon. Carolina's nickel corner, Shamari Connor, has been a frequent target for opposing quarterbacks and has struggled in coverage. The Panthers rank among the bottom 10 teams in EPA per target allowed to slot receivers. That should open the door for Khalil Shakir to make some noise. He's been dependable when given opportunities, and with Stephon Diggs likely drawing attention from top coverage defenders like J.C. Horn, there should be plenty of open grass underneath for Shakir to work. And let's be honest, this is a defense that simply doesn't have the horses to cover every option when Allen is time to throw. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. The NFL rumor mill is spinning faster than ever, and this time, it's circling around Buffalo. Multiple whispers out of Orchard Park suggest that quarterback Mitchell Trubisky is on his way out of the Buffalo Bills, with insiders hinting at surprising negotiations already underway. While the team has made no official comment, sources close to the situation describe the talks as sudden and serious, catching even veteran observers off guard. Trubisky, once viewed as a reliable backup and occasional insurance policy behind Josh Allen, is reportedly exploring options that could see him land elsewhere before the trade deadline. The details remain murky, but speculation points toward a growing dissatisfaction behind the scenes, both from the players' camp and within the Bills organization. Some claim the move was sparked by a difference in offensive philosophy, while others suggest a more strategic motive, freeing up cap space or opening a roster spot for a younger quarterback waiting in the wings. What's fueling the fire is the sheer timing of all. Trubisky's recent performances, though limited, had not indicated any imminent breakup. Still, those close to the team insist that tension has been simmering for weeks. A few sharp-eyed fans even noticed that Trubisky's interactions on social media have grown distant. Likes and mentions drying up, team posts going unanswered. Coincidence, or a subtle hint of discontent? Around the league, speculation is running wild about possible destinations. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Atlanta Falcons, and even the New York Jets are rumored to be monitoring the situation, each with its own quarterback uncertainty. Trubisky's experience and adaptability make him an appealing short-term solution for franchises struggling with depth or inconsistency under center. For now, the Bills are staying tight-lipped, offering nothing more than a no comment to inquiries. Yet behind the curtain, something big seems to be unfolding. Whether it ends with Trubisky packing his bags or with the rumors fizzling out remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The calm in Buffalo may not last long. If the reports prove true, The shockwaves will ripple across the AFC. After all, when a quarterback leaves mid-season, it's never just business, it's a statement. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.